Welcome to the Healing for Male Survivors podcast. This is a podcast for male survivors of sexual abuse and assault, whether as a child or as an adult. Know that you are not alone and the abuse was not your fault. My name is Mike Chapman. I'm a certified recovery life coach and also a survivor. Let's find hope and healing together. And welcome to the Healing for Male Survivors podcast. I'm your host, Mike Chapman. And with me today is Matthew Melvin. He goes by Matt. More about him in a moment. And today we have live audience members. Yay! Season 3, we're back on. And if you would like to join us for future live podcast recordings, you can learn more about how to do so on the website polarlifeconsulting.com/live. And let me introduce today's guest, Matthew Melvin. He is an author and activist from Massachusetts. He was diagnosed with autism while in high school, which not only hindered his education and social interactions, it caused problems finding employment, and the impulsivity led him to being incarcerated in the federal prison system in 2017 for nonviolent crimes. 2017 for nonviolent crimes. While in prison, he was sexually assaulted by another inmate. His first book is entitled Bullied Behind Bars. A gay Christian Trump supporter goes to prison. He currently resides in Shelburne, Vermont, and is planning to share his story and his healing journey with us. So, welcome, Matt, and we're going to get started like we do most episodes with 4 questions. Theme music, theme music, theme music. So, Matt, what is your favorite food memory? Hold on, back up. Forgot to talk about chat. It's been a while. We'll do this. I love not being live. Okay. I told you my brain's not working all the way. And I haven't done this for several months. And I would like to remind our guests that we will honor anonymity. I want to remind our audience members that we want to honor anonymity, and we will only state your name if you manually type it in with your questions. Let me start again. And reminder to our audience members that if you have any questions for our guest, feel free to put those into the chat. And we want to honor anonymity. We will only state your name if you manually type it in with your question or comment. Otherwise, we'll just call you audience member. And with that, I've introduced you. And 4 questions, theme music, theme music. So, Matt, what is your favorite food memory?
When my aunts were alive, they were making fresh homemade cinnamon rolls. I watched your interview, and I remember you also shared that you were a huge cinnamon roll fan. You had cinnamon roll made for you, so I figured I would bring that to the table.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I think I asked myself those questions. Yes, when my eldest sister, who since passed away, we were all like adults at college age. And yeah, she woke up like 2 a.m. on Christmas morning, made fresh from scratch yeast dough, cinnamon rolls with sticky pecans and all that. And just worked so much. And then of course the house smelled like cinnamon and so forth. But to honor her, we do the Pillsbury cinnamon rolls.
So you don't make them from scratch anymore.
I don't make them, but I'm the Pillsbury, the popping fresh, pop them out of the can.
Right, but that's almost baking.
It's almost baking, yeah, and you still get the smell. But yeah, with everything else going on, it's like, okay, yeah, no. But yeah, we honor my sister's memory by doing that every year. But yeah, and it's funny, a lot of us with abuse, we get triggered by things, and smell is like a positive trigger. And like opening up a new box of Crayolas or Play-Doh, those positive, it brings you right back into childhood. All those positive smell triggers. And smell is a very powerful memory-inducing trigger in positive and negative ways. So yeah, food memories are good to talk about because it's kind of a positive trigger, if you will. So, what is your favorite Christmas or holiday memory?
Sitting on my grandfather's lap at Christmas time. He passed in 1985. He had a cancer in the eye that was malignant, and he died when I was 4 years old. So unfortunately, I didn't get to spend as much time with him as I would have liked to have had.
Right. Yeah. Sounds like a special memory. Yeah, I've got memories of my grandfather as well. Yeah, he was a character. But yeah, he passed well after our children were born. He's West Coast, I'm East Coast, but he got to see pictures of his grandchildren from me, which he definitely appreciated. But yeah, when you have a nice grandfather, yeah, lots of good memories there for sure. So, what is your favorite church or house of worship memory?
Being an altar boy and being asked to put the star on the Christmas tree.
Ooh, the Christmas tree at your church?
Yes.
Nice. Wow. Yeah, sounds like a very special honor for sure. Absolutely. So, what made that special for you?
Being chosen, feeling special, feeling anointed called to have that special task.
Was it during a service or? Wow. So, you had an audience watching you do all this. Were you nervous? Because I would be nervous that I'd knock down the tree or I'd drop the star or.
I'm never nervous. I just take it in stride.
Ah, excellent. Excellent. Yes, I wish I had your courage. Yeah, especially as a kid, I was missed. What is your favorite scripture or any inspirational quote that has helped you on your spiritual journey, and what about it speaks to you?
Proverbs 27:17 says, "Iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend."
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I actually, if you ever see me wear a Celtic cross on the back of that, it was a gift from a conference I attended. It actually has that scripture verse in the back of that cross. You can see it in some of, actually, when I'm a professional Santa. Usually in my Santa, I wear that because it's kind of a subtle cross, but then it also kind of looks like a snowflake-ish because it's got like the little five, it's like four crosses and a little cross in the middle. And so it looks almost like a snowflake, but it's also kind of a subtle cross as well. And it has that scripture behind. So yeah, I do like that scripture. Absolutely. So let me hear more about, Matt, what your upbringing was and what led you into getting into trouble in the legal system and ending up in prison and so forth. Then I would love to know more about your healing journey, what you've done, what things have worked, what things have not worked. And then I'd love to hear more about what you're doing now. You're an author and activist. I would love to hear more about that as well.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Where do I start? You asked a lot of questions. So I'll start in the beginning. I was born in Tingsboro, Massachusetts. Growing up, it was very challenging. The neighbor next to us would constantly make fun of me, constantly bully me on the bus. I was made fun of because I was overweight. My parents made the unfortunate decision in 1988 to move to Vermont. My father got a job at Franklin County Home Health as the director, and it was the biggest mistake. Vermont is very isolating. It's very hard to make friends.
Mm.
And I always felt like an outcast, didn't feel like I fit in, was bullied, constantly berated, and I didn't love myself. And I think that that's a huge change for me is when I started loving myself, then I can love another person, then I can help another person. But I didn't love myself. I was relying on other people to give me affirmation, to give me a boost. And what other people think of me is none of my business. I will always be disappointed by somebody else. People will always disappoint us.
Right.
So the key for me was standing in that mirror and saying, I love you. I love you. And until I did that, then I couldn't accept who I was.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I talk with my coaching clients as well as other people in the survivor community that learning to love yourself also very hard. A big in between step is God loves us all, accepting his love for me first. If I can accept that first and accept and receive his love, then it kind of helps bridge the gap to say, well, if he loves me, maybe I can love me. And I know that's helped my own healing. And that's, learning to accept his love for me. Then if he can love me, well, maybe I can love me. Yeah,
Well, Jesus sent his only begotten Son, the
exactly.
Father, for our
Right,
sins
right, right,
because he was perfect. And in order to eliminate sin, there has to be shedding of blood.
right, right,
Way back in the Old Testament, when sin occurred, somebody had to bring the best of the best animal for slaughter.
right, exactly.
So praise God that we don't have to do that anymore.
Right,
However, we still have to repent and we have to turn away from that sin.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. So go on. Oh, you were moving to Vermont, hated it. And
Still hate it.
yeah,
It's not really changed any. I think it's really important to understand that I can't run away from my emotions. I have to accept my emotions. And until I love myself, I can't help anybody.
right, exactly. Yeah, I think having that love allows you to love others. And when you don't have that, it makes it hard to reach out and make friends because you're not even liking yourself. So it's like, well, what do I have to offer to
Right.
anyone else? And you're so
And I grew
bogged
up in a
down with your
family that
stuff.
was
Yeah.
very stoic.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't show any emotion. I'm the only one who actually shows emotion. So I never really got that love.
Right. I understand. Yes. So you're in Vermont. And how was it going through school in Vermont?
It was very, very challenging. I was diagnosed with autism in high school, and that sort of bridged the gap with why I was having such difficulty finding friends, making friends. And I hear a lot of people that have children or are neurodivergent that are having the same issues I am. And my advice to them is to make friends with people that are neurodivergent. Because if they don't, then they'll always there'll always be friction. What I do now, Mike, is I tell my friends up front, hey, I'm autistic, I'm on the Asperger's spectrum. So, hey, I might say something and you might interpret it incorrectly. But let's go over that.
Right.
So instead of blocking me because you don't understand me, let's have open communication where we can discuss things.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And being forthright with that. I know with my own issues, with my own healing, it takes a lot of trust for me to get that to that point with friends where I can talk to them about similar issues that I deal with that can impact social relationships. But it's definitely helpful. And those friends, they know when and how to best correct me or check in with me or whatever. And it's wonderful that you have that vulnerability with others because they really know who you are. And that's wonderful. And it kind of helps build that friendship connection for sure. So how did it go? You found out you had autism when you were in high school?
Correct.
And how did that come about? Was it suspected? Did a teacher suspect it?
We suspected it. I wanted a diagnosis so we could better understand. I could better get an IEP, individual education plan, and then we could figure out where to go. Now, when I had it, it was not as understood as it is today. There aren't as many resources back then as there are today.
Right.
But, I think it's all about communication and not isolating. One out of every 5 men are committing suicide. And it's because they're not talking about it. They're isolating the issue. And if the issue is not dealt with, it'll explode. I started doing men's weekends in March 2022. And that was really when I really started healing. I started finding men that were willing to be vulnerable, open themselves up, and risk that rejection. But without being vulnerable, all we're doing is talking about surface level stuff that really doesn't.
Right, absolutely. And they say healing happens in community and not in isolation. And that applies to everyone that, you can't just do it on your own. That having that interaction and that support, like the verse that you read, iron sharpens iron, and that we are stronger together and we can heal better and faster together than we could by ourselves. And just the fact, like I mentioned, power of story is the theme of the podcast, that sharing your own story with each other, sharing those truths, getting those out, that vulnerability helps deepen that friendship level for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So say again, who thought that you were autistic? How did that come about?
We Well, I mean, my parents thought that there was something going on because of my challenges in making and maintaining friends has always been an issue and still remains an issue today. However, I think because I'm communicating with friends about being autistic and laying my cards out early instead of waiting, that way we're both on the same page. My philosophy has always been I'm looking for long lasting friendships, men that will
Right,
go to the deep end of the pool. I've been a part of many, many men's groups, and a lot of them are very surface. They
right,
want to talk about day to day, they want to talk
right,
about feelings. And I'm not saying that feelings aren't important, they are. However, getting to know somebody based on feelings isn't going to help me get to know that person. It's just a mask. It's like when I go to the grocery store and I say, "How are you?" and the woman says, "Good," and I say, "Good." That's the level of
right.
the
We're fine. I'm fine. Yes. And you're not fine. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Getting those deeper friendships for sure is helpful.
And I think that the men's weekends are really where I find these guys because I've heard from many, many people, well, as you get older, it's harder to find friends. Where do you find these people? And it's not at a bar, it's not at a gym, it's not at a health club. I mean, not to say that that can't happen. However, when I go to a men's weekend, I know that there's a reason men are coming there. There's a brokenness, there's some unforgiveness, there's bitterness, there's anger, there's some need that that man has that he wants to relinquish so he can live a more prosperous, happy life.
Right, absolutely.
And unless he shares, he's going to be in the same place when he goes home.
Right, right. Yeah.
And having that container with a safe space of men that he can trust is where I've found the most healing. It's not for everyone. For me, it was easy because I've been in prison twice. So I was used to being told what to do. I mean, within reason. I mean, it's a different can of worms when you're in
Right,
prison versus at a men's weekend.
right.
Prison, I can't say, "Oh, have a nice day. I'm leaving now," like you can at a men's weekend. However, obviously the guards aren't nice people in general in prison, whereas, all the staff men have done the weekend. We've all gone through it. But the men
Right,
who do the best, Mike, are the men that do the homework assignments, bring the food item, are ready and willing to lay it out there. The
right,
men that have the most challenge are folks that I would say believe that they're in control. And being in control is an illusion. I'm never in control. God's in control. If I'm on the road and God decides to take my car out, he can do that at his will.
right,
So this illusion that anybody is in control is a fallacy. Once the man is willing to do that, then we can help him. And the other piece I'll share is sometimes we've had people that have come that their work or friends have paid for them to be there. It never works. A friend just told me today that his wife was on a women's weekend and 4 women, their work paid for them to be there, and the first day they were gone because they didn't listen to the directions. They wanted to do their own thing. They thought that, and it's the other thing
pre-vacation. Right. Yeah.
that's really important is this is not a vacation. There's not a hotel room. You don't slam the door at the night and cut the whole world off. You're sharing a bunkhouse. You're with other guys. They're going to snore. You just have to be prepared for this. But it's a bonding experience, Mike. It's
Right.
not something you're ever gonna you're gonna find every day. I can go to a hotel room any day of the week and slam the door. I'm not getting any healing by doing that.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, going back, you mentioned you had gone to prison twice. So what
Right.
happened there?
I worked at a car dealership, Freedom Nissan in Shelburne Road in South Burlington. They didn't pay me my commission, so I impulsively, and that's the shadow with autism, Asperger's, and that shadow is still with me today. That doesn't ever go away. That's what some people may not understand with mental health. It never goes away. And it doesn't matter how much drugs you use, it's just masking that pain that that person has.
Mhm.
And I impulsively decided to sell a car. It didn't work out. I got caught. I ended up getting 18 months. They had a mental health court. Jeffrey Crawford formed the judge in the case, and Bob Wolford, who ran Howard Mental Health, I'm very familiar with him. I saw about 30 therapists. Both of them decided I didn't meet the criteria for the mental health court. If I had completed the mental health court, I may not have a record today. So I went through the typical or regular court system.
Right.
And when I came out, I couldn't find a job, so I used other people's information to try to pass a background check. And then the government pursued me for about 6 years, went to 6 grand juries, finally got an indictment against me, spent about $500,000. And during that time, I was sexually assaulted by an Aryan Brotherhood member. In order for men to get initiated into gangs, they have to commit a violent act.
So that Aryan guy, he was trying to get into a gang, and
Correct.
You were the victim, so that if he committed the crime against you, then he would be accepted into the gang.
Absolutely, yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. Yeah. So once you got out the second time, how were you able to get your life back together, and what happened?
I had a near-death experience. In August 2015, I was traveling on 495 in the middle lane, going 72 miles an hour, which is very slow. I've been known to go 130. When a Lexus SUV came down an embankment and literally crossed in front of my car, I was fortunately saved, I was protected, and I knew God was protecting me. And that was the moment for me that I decided I was going to give up my old ways of being dishonest, lying, cheating, stealing, and start living a more honest life. And it's really been a lot easier. When you tell a lie, you have to remember what you told each and every person. When you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. It's a lot easier to be honest.
Yes, absolutely. So, and that accident happened before you were in prison?
Before the second time.
For the second time.
But when I used other people's information, that was actually in 2009. It was it was, about 5 years before that.
And now you're out of prison.
I am. I wrote a book. It took me 4 years. It was a long, enduring process. It's a lot harder than a lot of people think.
Right.
And you really have, I had to partner with people who've done this before.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Even I mentioned I told my story, which episode 76 on the podcast, I shared it, doing that presentation for a conference where I'm expanding on my story, just that. Yeah, I definitely could not do it alone. I asked for feedback. Different people from different backgrounds who I trusted gave me wonderful feedback. It's like, and they said, oh, let's bring this out a little bit more. Oh, mention this a little bit. And it's like, okay. And then when I was short, okay, I need to expand it. I need to add more stuff. What can I add? And I made suggestions. Oh, definitely do that. Yeah, it's like, okay, all right. So yeah, having people who are wiser and have had that experience definitely make use of that. And one of those two, he's written his own book. And I actually, Glenn Miles, who his episode should probably post before this one. He was one of the two who helped me. A great story from the UK. And he wrote his own book and shared his story and got help from other people who had written their story. So with that knowledge, he was able to help me with my story, even though it was just a presentation. And he's trying to get me to write my own book too. So yeah, so I might hit you up for advice when I start writing mine, for sure. But yeah, having that wisdom from others, because it's a daunting process. How do you get it all into one cohesive book? Definitely you have chapters and stories and so forth, but making it make sense and flow, and what do you add, what do you keep, what do you expand on, what you cut out. Yeah, absolutely. And I could understand why it would take several years. And bravo for getting it done, because I know that's a lot of work. So I know getting out your story can be very helpful. Was that helpful for you?
No question. I mean, when I was in federal prison, I was writing everything. I was journaling in it. I was doing it just like when Anne Frank was during World War II. She was chronicling everything that was going on. And actually, at one of the facilities, they confiscated my journal entries. So I had to rewrite everything.
Wow.
Yeah, the guards knew what I was doing, and they were very, very concerned. And that was the facility that I watched a man go up to the second tier and actually swan dive. It's the stuff that goes on that doesn't get reported is really, really tragic. And I still
Right.
remember that to this day, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Wow. Wow.
He's alive, but he's probably for the rest of his life going to be in a wheelchair.
Right. Right. So sad. A lot of desperation, I'm sure. So now,
Desperation, anger, fear, all of that combined. You know, when you lock a man up for 23 hours a day, and I've been spent many, many days in solitary confinement. It does a number on the mind.
right. Right. I'm
Until
sure.
you've done it, you don't know. And if you want to experience it, all you have to do is find a room and lock yourself in. Except there's no TV, there's no computer, there's nothing. You can have a book, but I didn't have, well, actually, I don't know if you could recreate it because you have to have a metal bed and a small mattress and no pillow if you
Right.
want to really recreate what we went through in prison. But here's the thing, the kicker, Mike. I may have been locked up, but I was free in my mind. I was free in my mind to think. I was free in my mind to write. So they may have had my body, but they didn't have my mind.
Right. Right. Yeah. So now that you're out, I know it sounds like writing this book was very cathartic, helping you with your healing journey. What other things have you done to help with your healing? Have you sought out therapy, or I know these men's weekends you talk about that you've gone to? I've gone to several myself. Very, very helpful,
I've
and
done the
very
whole
healing.
therapy thing. It doesn't work for me. I find the men's weekends, finding guys that are willing to be vulnerable, sharing their life story with me. I actually just found a new men's group. It's called Champions for Christ.
Okay.
So I'm exploring that right now. There's a lot out there. The men's weekends are the ones the what's helped me heal the most. Mike, for each man is different. I encourage each one of your listeners to try different things. Be open-minded.
Right. And what works for one person doesn't work for another. But yes,
Absolutely no question.
there's lots of different men's retreats, and I've listed them on previous podcast episodes as well. But there's, yeah, all kinds that are out there. Some for specifically for survivors of abuse or assault, some not, some Christian, some secular. There's a lot out there, and they're all very, very helpful. And yeah, see what works. I've been to some less helpful. I've been to some wonderfully helpful. And now I'm in leadership with Husband Material and assisted a lot of these men's weekends, which I love. I just got back from one recently, and phenomenal. Seeing men grow and find healing. Absolutely.
What I like is the vulnerability. I mean, there is no escape. Every man that comes will have to share his story. I mean, it's not going to be forced, but you will want to share your story. That's how you're going to make friends. That's how you're going to build bonds. If you're just sitting there as an audience member and think that you're just going to listen to what everybody else says and you're not going to go, you're in the wrong place.
Right. Yeah, the most effective ones I've been on where the staff, the leadership goes deep, goes vulnerable, like right out the gate. And you're going, we're going there. And then they set the tone and everyone's going, and they say all this stuff and no one's hating on him. They're still loving him after he shared all this crap. Maybe this is a safe place. Maybe I can share all my crap. Wow. And then the gates just float open and then people start sharing. And then other people start sharing, and then it just snowballs.
Yeah, I give the analogy
Yeah.
of an onion. You know, it's peeling off those layers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And seeing it top down from the leadership, those are the most successful that I see when they do that. I know the group I'm in, Husband Material, the weekends it's an online group anyway, and then we're already knowing each other through all of our online interactions. Then we come in person, we're already kind of at a deep level to begin with, and then you go even deeper. So that's nice. Whereas some of these others, it's a whole bunch of strangers getting together. And so getting us there, the leadership has to work a little harder. But this, we've already gone deep. So then we're just, hey, we're here together. So it's more celebratory in that regard, which I enjoy. But yeah, there's all kinds of different groups out there for sure. And so what are you doing now? You obviously wrote the book. Have you been going to different like book signings or anything like that where
I
you're
haven't. No.
advertising. How I know
I'm
I
on
got
social
friends.
media, but
Okay,
it's hard to get your name out there when nobody
right.
knows who you are.
Right, absolutely. So you're obviously coming on podcasts and sharing your
Right.
story,
Share my
which
story.
I appreciate that. And by the way, yes, we still have our live audience. So, hey guys, any questions for Matt? Put them into chat and we will ask them as we go. And while we're waiting for that, anything else you want to share about your story, your background?
We all have a story to tell, and I want to encourage your audience members that to not be ashamed, not
Right,
feel downtrodden. Don't worry about what other people think. Share your story. Talk about what's going on with you. It's very easy to tell everybody you're fine, but if you're not fine, I can't help you.
right. No one is fine. No one is fine. Yeah, from the 12-step groups, they'll say it's okay to not be okay.
But
Yeah,
I think AA is a great example
yes,
because everything can apply. A man
exactly.
or a woman has to accept that they have a problem. If they don't, I have to accept that I'm not perfect. I have to accept that God is in control and I have no control. And I want to relinquish control, follow him.
Right. There is from one of our audience members, how was your relationships with your parents and or siblings?
It's always been a challenge. My parents and siblings are very stoic. They don't show emotion. So I had to look outwards, outside of my family to get the love because I didn't have the love growing up.
Yeah, that stoicism. Some of my family, my mother and middle sister, yeah, very much on the stoic side, not very demonstrative as far as feelings and love and emotion. And I think my eldest sister, the one who died, who made the cinnamon rolls, she was much more demonstrative in her feelings, showing emotion and so forth. And I definitely got that from her. And I think my grandma was a little short thing, like 4 foot nothing, and just filled with love and prayer. And yeah, special lady.
Yeah, so then you go to these men's weekends and everybody wants to hug, and I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not. I hug men that I have a bond with, that I have a relationship. I don't just generally randomly hug.
And I'm a big hugger. So, and everyone knows it's like, okay, but I'll ask, hey, if you want a hug, come see me. But yeah, I know I've got friends who, like you, don't like hugs. I got one buddy, before we moved, we went to the same church, and I would just, okay, he would do the little fist bump thing. It's like, okay, but okay, I want to give you bear hugs. Okay, we're going to do the fist bump, and then we're just going to hold it. Okay, because don't think you just do that. It's like, no, we're going to hold it. So that's me giving you a great big huge bear hug, which I know you don't like. This is showing you how much I love you, man. It's like, okay, so he's willing to do that. So we just hold the little fist bump for of you. So it's like, okay, all right, yeah, I love you too, man. All
I'll
right,
give you another. So this new men's group I was on a prayer group, and I shared very vulnerably with the guys. And one of the guys sent me a message on my phone, and he said he made a little video, which I've never had anybody take a video of themselves and like showing love to me. I've never, in all the men's groups I've ever been a part of, I've never had a man do that. And he says at the end, like, I love you, man. And I'm like, but I've known you for like 30 seconds. Like, what's going on? And it was like, dude, like, and what I love about this group is that they always want you, they're like, find your Barnabas, find your Barnabas, find your Barnabas. And I'm like, okay. For those of your viewers who don't know, Barnabas and Timothy did life together. They were very, very close. So that's what they mean, that you want to find that man or woman that you can do life with. The other thing I want to say, Mike, is for me, I need multiple Barnabases because I have so much to give and I have so much that to me, and this is my opinion, it can be overwhelming. I've seen it where a guy's like, whoa, you're a little bit too much for me. And again, that's my interpretation, but I
right,
read people for a living. So I bring a lot to the table, and that may not work for everyone,
right.
but it's no coincidence that I had a friend for 31 years. Most people have never had a friend longer than a couple of days.
Right. Yeah, we call him my brother. We meet for breakfast weekly for close to 20 years now. And yeah, he's my best friend. And we've had a few fights here and there, not often, But yeah, we just talk about life, share life, and he knows all my stuff, and I knows all of his stuff. Yeah, he's a really good friend. I've got other friends as well, but yeah, that's been the longest lasting. My kids call him Uncle Rudy. And yeah, having that for sure is huge. Another question, another from an audience member. Let me pop this up here. Do you have groups you attend during the week ongoing?
So this new group I just started it last week. We have 3 meetings a week. We have the Monday, we have a larger group where men can attend either on or off camera, which I always have an issue with. To me, if you're going to come to a group, you better have that camera on because I want to make sure you're paying attention and not doing other activities. The prayer group is on Fridays and the Bible studies on Wednesdays. And those are, you have to have your camera on. Otherwise, we boot you. But the Monday group is sort of a introduction where anybody can come. So the rules are a little bit looser than they normally are. Normally on Zoom, everybody has to be on camera.
Right, understand. Another question from an audience member. Let's pop it up here. Where does your main source of connection, encouragement, and support come from?
Jesus Christ, no question. No human being can give me what I need other than God.
Right, absolutely.
I think I touched on it a little bit earlier that I need multiple Barnabases. And I think most of people need multiple Barnabases. You cannot rely on one person to give you everything that you need. It's not humanly possible.
Right. Same thing with spouses. There's certain things. I mean, I love my wife. She can't fill all those needs because there's friendship needs and so forth that just different.
And if you're a man, you need male relationships. If you're female, you need female relationships.
Absolutely.
Female can support you in certain things that a man doesn't even know anything about.
Right, exactly.
And same thing with men. And with men, it's, to me, and this is my judgment, it's a lot harder for men to want to go to the deep end. A lot of men, they want to talk about sports, they want to talk about weather, they want to talk about guns, whatever the nonsense is.
Right.
It's very
sports. Yes.
Right.
Yes. And I've attended several mixed gender groups where it's men and women together. And no matter what, the women, they love to talk. They're like talking, and the men are like, okay, I'll just do it and then we can hide. But if it's only men, it's like, okay. And I think, that frees men up to share, having men-only groups. And I was other men get it.
A virtual meeting. It was not there were 2 men in the group. It was almost all women. And I could barely get a word in edgewise. It was so unique that when I'm in a group of men, sometimes I can't even get a man to open up and say something.
Right.
Women are, ready to go.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, my wife, I'm an introvert because to recharge my batteries, even though I live extrovertly, if that's a word. But to recharge my battery, I need to get in my shell and recharge and so forth. She's the opposite. She is always on the phone, talking to friends, talking to her siblings. She grew up Catholic as well, so she's the oldest of 5. So she's talking to her other siblings, and then random nieces, nephews, and cousins, and so forth. Huge family, extended family, especially all the cousins grew up together. So she's calling all of her 17 cousins, first cousins. Anyway, so she just lives on the phone and loves talking, and that's how she recharges her battery. Whereas, no, I need to hide in my little shell. Then I feel great. And I can live out doing things in public. But eventually that battery drains. And it's like, okay, I need to go recharge. Bye. Okay, I need to shell, go to bed early or whatever. Especially on men's weekends, especially when I'm leading. And it's like, okay, I'm going to bed at 9, so I can go ahead and recharge.
That's one thing about me is I'll say at a men's weekend, hey guys, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, good night. And some of the men, they're up all night. And, and that's their own prerogative, but then they wonder why they're exhausted the next day when, the purpose of the men's weekend is to serve the participants, not to serve oneself.
Right. Yeah. Profound. So, any final words for that listener out there?
You can follow me on social media, Bullied Behind Bars on Instagram, Bars Bullied on X, Matthew.Melvin.5621 on Facebook. Email me, bulliedbehindbars@gmail.com. My book is available on Amazon.
And we'll have all those links in the show notes for sure.
Right.
But any words of advice or wisdom for that listener out there?
To reach out, talk to somebody, get connected, talk about what's going on. Be real. Find your Barnabas. Find that person that can support you. And don't feel shame or guilt. Lay it out there. Set out the expectations early. This is what I'm looking for. Can you provide that? And if they can't, it's time to move on. The other advice I have for everyone is whenever I'm having a conversation with a friend, I will always ask this question. Are you looking for advice? Are you looking for support? Because I notice that, especially with men that have kids, they'll want to give me advice as if I'm their child. And I'll have to stop them and say, time out. I just wanted support. I didn't want advice.
Right.
I didn't mean that. Okay, no question.
Yeah.
But I've learned that, and it's helped me tremendously. Because we all need to do life on our terms. We need to each figure it out. Our friends are there to help get us over those speed bumps, those potholes. But I can't carry somebody over to the finish line.
Right. Absolutely.
And you have to remember, I'm going to give advice based on my experience. My friend is going to give his advice on his experience. It's going to be vastly different. What works for me may not work for the other person.
Right. And I've had well-meaning pastors and other people who my issues are so beyond what they're normally dealing with. It's like, you're out of your depth. Don't even try. I've had well-meaning advice, horrible advice given to me, wanting to fix me or my issues. And it's like, I got to a point that's like, I'm not support, great, pray for me, cool. But no, you don't need to fix me. I don't even try. My list of stuff, it's getting bigger and bigger as I find more healing. But no, definitely be a support. But no, I've got people who know what they're doing, who can give me the support that I need. And I just need your support and friendship and all that. And owning that, not trying to get somebody else to fix me who they might not be ready for. Absolutely. Love that. Thank you so much, Matt, for coming and sharing from your heart. I appreciate it. And with that, we'll see you next time on the Healing for Male Survivors podcast. If you would like to learn more about my coaching with Polar Live Consulting, where I provide one-on-one coaching and group coaching, both with a focus on healing for male survivors, reach out to me at polarliveconsulting.com. That is Polar spelled Polar. I would love to hear from you. I want to hear your story. If you would like your story featured on this podcast, contact me via my website. If you like this podcast, please rate and review, because that's how other people can find me, and I really want to spread this message of healing and hope to others. And remember, you are not alone. Healing is possible, and the abuse was not your fault. Let me repeat that. The abuse was not your fault. See you next time on the Healing for Male Survivors podcast.